the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Right, here we go then. 2, 3, 4, 5. And away we go then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Dylan getting away well already, using those soft tyres to his advantage. Brindy didn't get the best of starts and he's lost out to Alan. And Jib Jab's going down his inside as well. Jib Jab already up 2 positions, looking to make it 3 as they go side by side through turn 3. But Brindy gets the position, or holds on to P4, and it's going off a little bit behind with the Haas drivers going side by side. And now McEwen looking round the outside of Darren. It's going to turn to the inside for turn 7, and he goes for it, does the Haas driver. They're battling it out here. Hammy as well, having a look at Elite as they go down the back straight. Lewis attacking the back of the Renault as well. But can't get it done here this time round as they head down, heavy braking into turn 8.
Lewis almost smashing right into the back of Elite, but he's actually pulled up a fantastic move on Hammy. Brakes super late down into on the exit at the end of the straight, and yeah, just completely mugged Hammy off around the inside and then around the outside and then up to the inside.
Now Jason and McEwen going side by side through the chicane, but McEwen staying firm in his defence, holding that position. In fact, gave Elite an opportunity to get past the Red Bull driver. So the Haas cars are now into 7th and 8th. Hammy's lost a couple of positions now off the start. Despite losing the lead, Riggsy's keeping in touch with Dylan for the moment. And they had at one point got to nearly a second ahead of Brindy, the top 3.
Yeah, I was just going to say actually quickly, pretty much a near perfect start, you've got to say, for Riggs. I mean, he lost that one place to Dylan, but you'd probably be expecting that anyway. If he can just keep in the DRS now, then he could have a really enjoyable first stint, just sort of leeching off of what the Mercedes in front can do. But yeah, Alan as well, moving up into P3. Very nice start. Brindy almost got shoved out completely.
We got a car gone.
Yeah, Lewis has gone.
Has gone
after a fantastic start and a brilliant move, chasing already with
just
the track limits as well.
Just at turn 4 there, Lewis into the wall. Has he got damage, James? You say?
Yes, he has. Right end plate pretty much. Well, I think it might be completely gone. That'll be one into the pits at the end of the lap for sure.
Yeah, I suppose that's the other thing to point out that we haven't really mentioned, James, is that penalties are quite the occurrence around here. Jason already picking one up, multiple warnings, but he, as the time machines aren't really updating at the moment, which is slightly annoying. He's very late on the brakes there, having a look at Elite into turn 11.
I think Riggs is still going to be in DRS.
At least on, yeah, I was saying on the track map, it looks as though Riggs is sticking with Dylan relatively well.
It looks
and
like
in fact, they might be dropping.
Yeah,
Alan
I was going to say Alan might be further back than Riggs is to Dylan by the looks of things. Well, Dylan's super wide out of turn 20.
Yeah, it's a slightly interesting one with Alan, because of course he raced a few times as Jason's already going to come into the pits by the looks of things, so that's a very early stop for him. Yeah, Alan raced a few times in Division 1 the back end of last season, then went down to Division 2, and well, he's put it fourth on the grid, this evening. He's running 3rd, so he's looking really strong here. Is Elite nearly losing it through turn 3 as well. Turn 3/4, almost taking another casualty already this evening. As Riggsy then, has he got the DRS on Dylan? Just about. Alan doesn't have DRS from Riggsy, so this could give Brindy an opportunity. How's he looking?
20%, and Riggs has 70%. So the Mercedes driver's obviously pushing very hard to try and break that DRS window to Riggsy, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. He's pretty much out of battery already, and Riggs, got the DRS, will be able to comfortably.
Brindy's going to have a look on Alan James down into turn 11, and he's got it done down the inside.
Yeah, good
Alan
driving
left a lot of room there for the Williams driver.
Good driving from Alan there. Oh, I've absolutely butchered that one, but yeah, fair play to him for leaving the room. Could have quite easily turned in on Brindy there and picked himself up a penalty and ruined the Williams driver's race. But yeah, now Jib Jab is having a look as well.
Yeah, right on the back, waiting in the wings, I think.
And
all
Darren
over
might just
Hound in the
about
back
be
of
in
this
touch with these guys as well. So yeah, that'll be lovely for me. We've already butchered Alan and Darren, so when they're right next to each other, that'll probably be even worse. But yeah, it does look like Jib Jab is going to be shaking up a move then on the AlphaTauri driver relatively soon. Just looks like, yeah, unfortunately for Alan, after his fantastic start, maybe not quite got the pace to match the front guy.
Yeah, I tell you what, James, there's two races forming rather quickly here, as it's only lap 4 now. But look at the gap between Elite and McEwen. It's,
Yeah,
it's
become
already
a bit of a
above
cork in the
3
bottle,
seconds. Kind of forming a bit of a train here. Alan has lost touch to Brindy, so he might not get DRS here.
Well.
He hasn't got DRS, so can Jib Jab then go for the move on the AlphaTauri?
I think he's got to.
Using all of that battery in overtake with the slipstream and the DRS, touching 208 miles an hour, and they head down, heavy braking for turn 8, but he can't get it done. Can Jib Jab? Is he going to get it on the switchback down the back straight? Looks like it to the outside he goes then for turn 11 it's going to be, and he's got the move done there pretty comfortably in the end, as McEwen has gotten past Darren as well, James.
Yeah, big moment for the Williams driver on the exit of the chicane, and yeah, that allowed McEwen to just glide his way through, and he's now the next man who's going to be looking to shape up a move on Alan, who, yeah, after that early pace, just seems to be dropping away rather quickly now.
Ooh, Sem gets a penalty. Sem's managed to get past Elite, has a McLaren driver, and already pulled a 2.5 seconds on him. So yeah, I think as you mentioned, Elite really just seems to be the cork in the bottle at the moment, unfortunately. Riggsy's gotten himself back into Dylan's DRS there by the looks of things, and Brindy's starting to close that gap down as well. So perhaps Brindy losing out at the start is going to be more costly than may have appeared, as Elite is really flirting with the curbs through 2 and 3. The car looks extremely loose on the rear, as he's really forming a queue behind. Is Hammy going to be able to go for the move? Is McEwen going to be able to go for the move on Alan? Down into turn 8. Later on the brakes is the Haas driver. Alan's going to try and hold it though for 9 and 10. But he can't get it done. But he has now got the DRS back on the Haas of McEwen. And he goes to the outside for 11, and he's got the move done before the break. So McEwen's going to go late on the brakes to try and hold it in there. Alan trying to leave some room as they go side by side now through the chicane. McEwen's got the inside for the next turn, but they're still going side by side. Alan trying to hang it in there. He's going to have the inside line for 15, 16, and then 17, as McEwen's going to go late on the brakes again, hold it round the outside, just about keeping it on the track. And that is a brilliant battle there between the pair of them. That's some great racing, and that's really lost them a lot of time, unfortunately, but it was a great battle whilst it was going on. And now Darren is right on the back of Alan as well, as McEwen pitting already. So early stop for the Haas driver. Sem as well closing into the back of these guys as well on those mediums. So Sem's getting himself up into a pretty nice position there. Brindy has lost about 3/10 since I said he was pulling the gap down, and Jib Jab's also keeping touch with him as well. And for all his work at the start, unfortunately Alan just doesn't quite seem to have the pace of the guys at the front at this moment in time.
Yeah, great defending though from the AlphaTauri driver. I mean, if everyone left as much room as he did, the stewards would be out of a job. Yeah, absolutely fantastic there. Side-by-side action between McEwen and Alan. And yeah, you've got to say, some of this defending being displayed from the AlphaTauri driver is just absolutely fantastic. Giving drivers room when probably not really entitled to. I mean, it was a pretty hopeful lunge down the inside from McEwen, and yeah, Alan just saw it coming, left the space, and yeah, thankfully they didn't come together. As Darren is now
Darren's
going
for it now. A bit further alongside the AlphaTauri than McEwen was the lap before, and he's gotten the move done here without the extra hassle by the looks of things. As Sem smells blood here in the McLaren, he's using some battery to try and get the run down into 17. Is he going to try and replicate what McEwen did a lap ago? Unfortunately not, with a big lock up on that front right. That's not going to do his tyres any good, and Sem going very wide there. really struggling with the lack of downforce and the dirty air as Dylan now peels off into the pits as well. So it's really hammer time for Riggsy on those mediums, as Alan as well pitting from P5, it was P6, sorry, as Darren had just gone past him a few moments ago. So Sem then on those fresher medium tyres, the freshest tyres of those in the top 5. He really needs to make the most of it now, as Lewis as well being with a time penalty, but he is quite a way back unfortunately after that spin earlier on in the race. Jib Jab as well, as we mentioned, keeping in touch with Brindy very nicely. So we've got yellow flags and Elite is out. I said he was flirting with the curves through 2 and 3 and he's lost it on the 3-4 little kink there. We've got yellow flags. Is there going to be any sort of safety car? That would really scupper those medium runners if there is. And there's a BSC, so it shouldn't have too much of an impact, I don't think, as Jib Jab got very close to the back there of the Williams as they all have to adhere to the Delta.
Yeah, one thing we've obviously missed is Hammy picking up some sort of damage, I think, because he's done P14, pitted off with those mediums at the end of lap 6 for another set of the medium tyres, and yeah, he's a good 10 seconds behind Alan, so I think that will have been a wing change for Hammy. Either that or just a tactical early stop, but that would surprise me considering he started on the medium tyres.
As we're back underway then, I'd say this probably helps Riggsy to a degree, because it gives Dylan half a lap less to get an undercut or whatever on him. As we're back underway already, as I said, as Jason now pits of a time penalty. Are we going to see Brindy and Jib Jab into the pits just yet? No, we're not. So we're going to start lap 8 then.
Potentially then from those two.
It is possible, but just given how much slower old softs are, or old anything are compared to fresh tyres, I'm not convinced it's necessarily the right
You've got to
strategy.
say though, if they can do 9-10 laps on softs, then on fresh mediums, surely they can do 20 laps.
Are we going to see a move from Jib Jab for P2 at the moment? He's on about 30% of his battery. Brindy boy, how's he looking, James?
Just above 10. But yeah, just a bit too far back.
Okay, so I think both these guys really pushing it.
Riggs has 70% up front.
Guess he's just managing perhaps at the moment. Because yeah, you see the light flashing on the back of Brindy Boy's car there. That indicates he's under 10% on the battery, but got a really nice exit there out of turn 9, which meant that Jib Jab couldn't really challenge down into 11. So here's an update then. All these medium runners running relatively close to one another for between P4 and P8, although Sem is good 4 seconds ahead of Bennett at the moment, so he's having a very good race. Is the McLaren driver, as Alan's gotten past Jason.
I think
P11 that is.
I think the one thing that's really going to hurt Dylan here is all this traffic that he's about to come across. I'm guessing maybe that's what Brindy and Jib Jab are thinking about as well. They're probably looking at that and yeah, thinking that if Dylan gets stuck in this traffic for 3 or 4 laps, maybe even a bit longer, then yeah, we could probably overcut and get a one-stop going.
As Webber and Alonso found out in 2010, I believe it was, stuck behind Petrov. Traffic can be a real bitch around here, so
surely
they're going to be in a...
surely they're doing a one-stop now, sorry, the second and third at the moment.
You would think so. I mean, while these guys are running in a train, as they are, I mean, Dylan, I think, is going to find it pretty difficult to get past. Although, you know how we like to be proven wrong, so probably blitz past him now, as he's using his battery out of turn 7.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be able to on this occasion, though. Preds might be having to go at Liam here, which could further hinder Dylan if these two start battling in front of him. Preds then down the inside for 8. Liam's going to try and stick it round the outside. We'll go to Dylan to get a better view of this as he goes round the outside of Liam through 9. That's a brilliant move from Dylan. He had to get that done. Crucial point of the race for him. Really can't afford to dilly-dally and wait behind these guys too much. So he's got one of them out of the way pretty quickly there, has Dylan. But he's now going to have Preds all throughout this final sector, which is really going to slow him down. Those fresh tyres, Dylan needs to take advantage of them, whilst Brindy and Jib Jab are still out on those old softs. The longer he's stuck behind these guys in traffic, the sort of further the advantage swings, or the pendulum swings towards the Williams and the Racing Point, currently lying in second and third. In the meantime, James, Rixey really pulling that gap out now. He's pulled another second to Brindy since that VSC came out, and it looks as though it is that crossover where the mediums are coming good and the softs are starting to really drop off in this race. So I think as we start lap 10, Brindy and Jib Jab are definitely going for this one stop. As Dylan, is he going to try it down the inside into turn 1 on Preds? Yes, he is. Preds leaves the door open, tried to defend the move, but Dylan getting the elbows out and getting the move done and up into 7th.
Yeah, I think Preds is, it looks like he's just doing his usual again. Mr. No penalties, I think we're going to have to start calling him. But yeah, knows where his fight is, obviously, and didn't really fancy turning in on Dylan, because that's just an easy penalty to give yourself. Yeah, I think his fights with the
Dylan
likes
pushing
of
onto the back
Liam,
of the clock now as well,
yeah,
James.
he's got to get a move on, because if he gets held up in this traffic too much, he'll find himself with too big a mountain to climb at the end, even on, as he hits the back of the clock, and that's a 15-second time penalty right there for Dylan.
Of course, as soon as I go off it, there's an incident. I was just going to Darren.
As
I was just
Lewis
has crashed.
gone into
Yeah.
next week.
I was going to Darren, James.
He's off to Australia, I
gone
think.
onto the softs after pitting. He's blitzed past Alan there pretty easily. He obviously needs to make the most of those fresh softs as well. So what actually happened there? Can you kind of decipher it? Because unfortunately, I just went off it as soon as it all happened. Unfortunately.
Dylan just went in too deep, and yeah, just hit the back of the clock. It was pretty clumsy, and to be fair, unfortunately for Dylan, yeah, clock spun round, and then I don't think so. It was just a little tap, but fairly substantial contact. It was a bit of a weird one, but yeah, clock spun round and came back. Unfortunately, I think into the path of McEwen, just the nature of how his car spun round. So yeah, McEwen got damaged, clock spun round. Dylan, instant penalty if that's sent in, which it should be. And yeah, Lewis then also just, I think, taking an early trip to Australia, because he was miles off the track down at turn
Bahrain,
4.
should you say?
Yeah, sorry, Bahrain, of course. And yeah, he's completely ruined those soft tyres, and I think unfortunately the only thing that's saving his race is a safety car.
Yeah, so Rizzi then has pulled another second and a half to Brindy, really dropping off these soft tyres. I was surprised they didn't pit last lap, these guys. I'm sure they're going to pit this time. Jib Jab's just starting to manage his battery now, so he's pulling that in a bit, which is going to give him a bit of an advantage. You'd say later on in the races we've got yellow flags as Lewis has called it a day in the pits. It's been a pretty torrid 10 laps or so for the Racing Point driver, and unfortunately that is his season over early, which is a real shame for Lewis, because he's had some really strong performances this season, but unfortunately today hasn't been one of them. Are we going to see then Brindy and Jib Jab pull off into the pits? I mean, look at how much Dylan has closed in on these guys. He had about 3 seconds on them, 2 seconds on them when he pitted. He's only about 6 off of them now, as yet they do both pit then, Brindy and Jib Jab, as we've got yellow flags instead of one, but that is just for Lewis's AI or retired car, sorry, should I say. So it's Riggsy then, 7.5 seconds his gap to Sem, who's on slightly fresher tyres in P2. Dylan then is about 10 seconds or so off of the lead on 4 lap old medium, so he's about 7 lap fresher tyres than Riggsy, but we think that both or all 3 of those guys still have a stop to make. Bennett and Preds as well still have a stop to make. You'd imagine that Riggs and Sam are probably going to go for the 1 stop, given the position that they are in, but you never know. It's kind of just about opening up the pit window for the mediums if you're 2 stopping onto a couple of sets of softs, as Brindy and Jib Jab have rejoined just behind Jason. I say they've both just joined behind Jason. Jib Jab's lost a couple of seconds near enough in the pits to Brindy, as he gets the move done on the Red Bull driver there. Easy as you like.
I hate how that happens. I hope they fix it.
Jason, I would say knows where his race
is.
No, let him go, but he's having to look back at him. into turn 11, but nothing doing there. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, James. Oh, his clock loses the car.
He was in the wall there, I
Hits
think.
the wall pretty heavily. Yeah, it was a big bit of contact with the wall there from the Alfa Romeo as he's, I think, trying to get out of the way of Brindy, is he? Yeah, looks like it just about. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the whole pit stops. For some reason, he seems to lose a lot of time in the pits, way more than you should.
Well, yeah, it's a
It
bit...
could have possibly ruined Jib Jab's
I think it
battle with
probably
Brindy
has,
here, as he's got Jason. He's not got Jason in the way anymore as he loses the car out of turn 20
I think
on
it
the
could be
curb.
Jason retiring as well. But yeah, it's a bit silly, isn't it? Jib Jab was in the pits about a tenth behind Brindy, and all of a sudden he's come out of the pits 1.6 seconds behind it. And that, I mean, that just doesn't happen, does it? But for some reason...
Oh, we've got a move, sorry, for P2, James. I think Dylan should be getting Sem here pretty easily. He's caught right up to the back of him pretty quickly, has the Mercedes driver. 7 lap pressure mediums, and it's a pretty easy move there, Sem. Not really challenging him too much, so he's got just over 8 seconds, has Dylan, to Riggsy, who's currently in the lead. Riggsy had pulled another sort of second or so to Sem before Sem had been passed by Dylan.
Yeah, I think Riggs is probably going to one-stop here as well. If he can take these mediums another 5 laps, then he could...
6 laps.
Yeah, 5-6 laps, yeah, for sure. He can do the softs to the end. I mean, Dylan needs to catch him way more than a second a lap for him to have any effect on Riggsy's race. I mean, with fresher tyres he'll catch him a bit, but a second a lap I'm not so sure. I think Riggs he's looking comfortable here, it has to be said.
Jib Jab then has gotten his way through the traffic as well, but he's found himself now nearly 2.5 seconds off of Brindy, who is 2.5 tenths off just a few laps ago. Currently on board with Bennett, having a pretty quiet race, it has to be said, in P4, but he's getting about his business pretty well at the moment. So he could be on for some decent points come the end of the race. As we've got Darren and Alan, who both, I think, are going to be two-stopping. They're coming up to the back of Preds, who's still yet to pit. Brindy now sets the fast lap, 37.3 for him, so he's absolutely flying on that fresh set rubber. I'm sure he was absolutely yearning for those fresh tyres. And he's got them, and he's really showing his pace now. But obviously he's got to try and get those to the end, so might need to be some tyre conservation later on, as Pred's getting all out of shape there through the chicane of 5 and 6, and he's pulling out the way, is he, of Darren, or is he trying to break the toe? I think he's breaking the toe here, Pred's. He's not giving this one up without a little bit of a fight then, by the looks of things. Darren on those aging softs, shall we say, as he taps the back of Preds going into the braking zone. Not really going to affect either of them too much here, but it might compromise his exit and put him under a bit of pressure from Alan here, as Alan is looking on at this battle that's going on in front of him, as Preds covering off the outside but handing Darren the inside for turn 11, and he gets the move done, does the Williams driver, and it's Alan going to try and follow Darren through.
Oh, surely not the
Has
inside
a
there.
think about it, has a little peek
Preds
down the
did leave
inside
him
of
the
Preds,
room.
but can't get it done this time.
Maybe into 17 then, Harry. I don't think this one's over just yet. Oh no, Alan thinks better of it. Doesn't want to stick his nose in there and pick up unnecessary damage.
I'll tell you what,
blimey,
James,
yeah,
look at how much time
yeah.
Dylan's gaining on Riggs on those fresh
I
tyres.
was
He's
just
gained
thinking
about
that.
4 seconds
Oh,
in a lap
Yeah.
or two.
I'm sounding like a right clown now, aren't I? Because I was saying, oh yeah, second lap, don't think he'll do that. No, he definitely won't. He'll do 4 seconds a lap. He'll be on him at the end of this lap at this rate, won't he? Jeez, Riggs must have made a mistake somewhere, surely. There's no way that can have been on pure pace.
Well, how are they looking at battery, James? Because Riggs has been managing his for the most part.
Riggs still good on the battery. I've just looked at the lap times actually. It was a 41.1 from Riggs. It was a 38.1 from Dylan. So exactly 3 seconds quicker.
I think we're going to see Alan just cruise past Preds here, James.
Riggs
But
had a-
Brindy
yeah,
Boy's
Riggs
closed
had
up to the back of these guys as well now.
Something's happened to Riggs in the final sector for sure. He lost 1.6 seconds to Dylan. So I think he's had a bit of a stinker there that we've obviously just missed. Either that or his tyres are just completely gone and he's literally got nothing left.
Maybe a bit of both. Who knows? Brindy then has just about gotten DRS off of Preds, albeit he's way too far back to go for a move here. But this is an interesting one. As I mentioned at the start of the race, we kind of don't entirely know the running order because there's so many different strategies going on throughout the field. albeit the only driver that isn't on the mediums at the moment is Darren. So that's a slightly interesting one, but yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of these guys that are two-stopping that are already ahead or right behind a lot of the one-stoppers. So it's an interesting dynamic here as we're on lap 15, as lap 16 now, as Ricci's just crossed the line of 28. So just over halfway in this race. Only 2 retirements so far, and a pretty lackluster in terms of incidents. I can't say I'm complaining too much about that. As Brindy then down the inside, it's going to be of Preds into turn 1, as he did before, I think. Was it Brindy or was it Dylan? Dylan did it before.
Yeah, Dylan did.
Brindy's done it this time. Down the inside into turn 1. Preds again leaving the room for another car there, as Riggsy has got a Mercedes in his mirrors. Dylan is going to be within DRS range, I think, heading down onto the second straight. I think Riggsy's going to be pitting in the next lap or 2,
yeah,
I think, because those tyres are probably going to be screaming for some relaxation.
I'm really not sure what's happened here.
Respite.
It looked like Riggs was in control of this only a couple of laps ago, and now you've got to say,
I think
advantage
it just
Dylan.
shows the. I think it shows really the pace difference between fresh and used set round here. Is it's really not the wear that's the issue. It's it's the sort of the delta, the difference in tyres in the fresh and the used. As Dylan, I think, is going to get this move done pretty quickly, and I think it's going to be a pretty easy move as well, James.
I'll tell you what, Harry, I had Sam for P2 in my prediction. Could be an outside bet for a podium here, as could Bennett, who's actually more than
As Rigsy's
within
pitting.
penalty range. He's going to do well to
So
take
Riggsy
him 12
pulls
from
off
the end,
into the
blimey.
pits. It's a pretty early stop, it has to be said.
Yeah, I think it'll just be the same
Renault
again.
driver.
Dylan will catch him a lot at the end in the fresher stop. And, I
But he
think
might
he'll-
have
I don't think he'll be
a
able to
pretty
defend
fresh
it.
set, James.
Yeah,
Because
true.
Riggsy didn't use too many sets of tyres, did he, in Q1?
No,
As
but I
Bennett
think,
now takes P2. Sem's in as well for a relatively early stop, as is Darren.
I think just a couple of laps longer though on those softs. I think inevitably Dylan will catch up to him from the end, and I don't think he'll be able to defend, to be honest. I think, unfortunately for Riggs, just that terrible pace drop off on the mediums that I'm sure, well, we weren't expecting. I'm sure he wouldn't have been expecting, and I think that's really going to have cost him this race here. I think, as I said a second ago, it's advantage Dylan, and I can't see that changing in the next 11 laps.
I mean,
without
Dylan
any,
obviously,
surprises.
Dylan is giving Riggsy the undercut though. But yeah, I mean, Riggsy's going to have Brindy and Jib Jab to get past, I think, to take this lead back, as Brindy's gotten himself past Alan. So Brindy's lost a little bit of time to Jib Jab behind the Avatar, and I think he's going to be re-overtaken here by the Avatar. Yes, he is. Brindy's got nothing on the battery, James. Again, seems to be struggling a little bit with that battery management, does the Williams driver, as Alan gets past, but picks up a time penalty for his troubles. And I think this could give Jib Jab a bit of a sniff here, a bit of an opportunity to close that gap back up. Riggsy then already pushing to close up to the back of Preds, who I don't think will make this one terribly difficult. He's not made it difficult for anyone else thus far. Dylan doesn't respond this lap, he stays out, so he's giving Riggsy a 2-lap undercut here, James, which is massive. That could be 5 seconds or so around here.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it will be quite as big
in
as
traffic,
that, as Dylan's tyres are relatively fresh, but we'll have to wait and see. So then, Preds isn't going to pit, so he's going to stay out as well. He's got Riggsy then, I think, going to get the move done before turn 1. In fact, Preds just pretty much concedes the position already, gets out of the way, knows that that is not where his fight lies this race. Preds has a decent shot of points still, James. So that's smart driving from him. Can't afford to lose any time himself through battling, as Brindy is pushing for the second time on the back of Alan now. This has given Jib Jab a chance, James. Jib Jab's gone back into the DRS of Brindy, which is big for this race. It shows how much time you can lose in traffic. Riggsy about 4 seconds off of this battle, as Brindy's going for the move then on the AlphaTauri down the inside into turn 8. Later on the brakes, but is it going to be a repeat of lap 17? Is the AlphaTauri going to get the run back out of turns 9 through 10, as Brindy again with the red light flashing low on the battery? Alan's going to try it again round the outside. It's going to be for turn 11. They're going to go side by side. Who's going to have the better run? It looks as though it's Brindy round the outside, inside for 13 and then through 14, he's got it done. But Alan gave it a really good go there.
I think Alan might be the
Didn't
cleanest
want
driver
to
I've
give
ever
that
seen.
position up. And I think Dylan is going to pit this lap, is he? No, he stays out for another one, James.
Yeah.
I remember
very
when when we did Brazil last season, we were commenting on how clean a driver Alan was. I think he got a podium in that race as well. He was fighting right up there and having some really good battles. And again, really good battling.
I'm just
really
amazed
good
by how
racing
much
between
room
Alan and numerous drivers this evening.
Well, there you go from Riggs, 36.4. But yeah, I'm just amazed by how much room Alan leaves the other drivers. I think he even cut across the second part of the chicane there, but he might have taken a warning to avoid contact, which is something that quite a lot of drivers, probably myself included, even really wouldn't do. I mean, I think you've got to own up to that one there, haven't you, Harry? If you either pick up a warning or maybe have a bit of contact, I think most of us are going to take the little bit of contact and just hope it doesn't affect either of us too much. But yeah, Alan just
Jib Jab's going for the move,
avoiding
James.
collisions at all costs, and yeah, here comes Jib Jab. Then we're going to see some more defending, are we, from Alan?
Could
turn
be
to attack once again.
Another repeat of this little switchback manoeuvre. I think it is,
Yeah,
James.
he is.
Look at just how much speed he's got down this straight.
Makes it the
And
fourth
he's got it
braking
done
zone.
again. So we've got most of the guys on the one stop. I think everyone on the one stop has now pitted. Prez came back out in 12th, and he's quite a long way off that group actually. Battling, it's spearheaded by McEwen.
They've all got penalties though.
One Haas was causing a train at the start of the race. It's now another with McEwen, and as you say, yeah, penalties still going to come into play, I think, later on, as Dylan has now pitted. So he's given Riggsy a 3-lap undercut here. How much time is that going to have given the Renault?
I think it would have given him quite a lot of time.
For his second stop.
If Dylan's only 5-6 seconds behind, he'll catch that back up. I'm sure the tyre wear at the end for Riggs is going to be horrible. And yeah, as we see Dylan just now going under the track, I don't think he's going to be too far off at all.
No, but he will have Jib Jab and Brindy as well to get past later on in the race. That's of course something to think about, as Riggsy had a think about it. But he knows that he's got the track position.
It's only 4 seconds,
seconds the gap to Dylan.
I cannot see Riggs
massive,
holding on here. I cannot see him holding on.
It'd be a pretty good effort. I mean, Dylan's already pulled the gap down by about 6/10 just because of this time that Rigsy's losing behind Jib Jab. But he's got the move done there pretty easily in the end. Battery management as well, though, could be important, James, as Dylan is slightly worse off than Riggsy, but not by a massive amount. But he gets all out of shape there through 7.
I think with the
8 and 9.
I think with the fact that the tyre pace difference is just so huge around here, I don't think the battery will affect it too much. And now they are pretty much
we got Sem and McEwen, James, battling it for P5. These two really going at it here as Sem's nearly hit the back of...
Well, here comes Darren as well.
Darren's gone right around the outside on trying to go on the pair of them. Somehow ends up back behind Sem.
I'm amazed no one's come around at that chicane
kicking off
yet.
him. Bennett's off the track going wide through turn 14. It's all getting a little bit feisty here in this battle for P5. McEwen still holding firm in his defence, keeping Sem behind for now. Rigsy's going to start trying to close that gap down to Brindy and reclaim the lead of the race.
You know, you said I think it was last lap, you said Prez is 9 seconds off this battle, taking about 3.5 out of it already, and as I said, no penalties. He'd be gaining 3 or 4 positions here at this rate. In fact, even more, because look at that, Sem in P6 is probably about only 2 seconds off Liam. Prez is only about 7 seconds off of him with 7 laps to go. Could be a top 5 here, even if the Ferrari driver can keep it clean for these last 7 or 8 laps.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be someone in that sort of outside the top 10 getting into that top 5. I went for Liam. Should have gone for Prez then maybe, as Jason opting to not use the DRS until very late then, as Sem is all over the back of McEwen, trying to go for this move. Darren picking up a time penalty down the straight, which is a bit unfortunate for him. Sam McEwen still battling out. Darren's going to go for the switchback on not one, but two of them. Gets a brilliant exit with the traction, using all of his battery. And I think he's going to get it done here. That is an excellent switchback there. And Sem's going to try it on McEwen. These two still battling it out. McEwen holding it down the inside. He's going to force Sem out, but Sem's going to stay there. He's going to say, hey, buddy, I'm still here. But McEwen's having none of it. Sem can't get the move done. And look at him hounding the back of that Haas. But he just can't get the move done. And now Bennett is having a look. Is he down the inside for 17? No, not quite. Getting so close to the rear wing of the McLaren is Bennett, but just nothing doing. And now then, Riggsy has got onto the back of Brindy. This is going to be interesting because he can't afford to stay behind the Williams for too long, as we've got 7 laps to go. McEwen getting a little bit out of shape there, out the final corner. Sem still right on the back of the Haas. This has given Darren an opportunity to scarper away on those mediums, as he's on 4-lap old mediums, Sem on 4-lap old softs. So the tyre age is the same. Sem's on the better tyres, but he just can't get past this Haas. He's looking again down the inside. Is it for turn 5? He's going to go for it. Bit of contact made, wheel to wheel between them. They're still going at it, these two. As Dylan gets past Jib Jab, and Riggsy's gotten Brindy as well at the same time. Sem finally gets the move done, but McEwen's not giving it up, as he's using his battery to have another go at him, is he? Sem's got the DRS, and Allen's coming through now. Look at the overspeed from the AlphaTauri of Allen, and he's going down the inside of McEwen. And he's going to get the move done, I think, but McEwen holds it for the inside at 9. And it's a battle of the traction here, and Allen is just going to fly through with the battery and the DRS. And now he goes up to 7. He's on way fresher tyres, but McEwen comes back at him down the inside for the next part of the chicane and loses the car. And
close. Oh my god,
how have they not crashed yet?
How have they not crashed
It's getting a bit intense.
Yeah, Dylan also,
James
past
is 1.2 off of Riggs now.
Yeah, Dylan got past Jib Jab easily on the straight. I can't see. Yeah, fastest lap as well for Mercedes driver. I cannot see Riggs holding on to this one, unfortunately. For him, got robbed of one last week, race win last week, you'd have to say, and I think he's going to lose out again here tonight. But yeah, who said final races of the season were boring anyway? This has been a fantastic, it's been a titanic battle in this midfield. Yeah, brilliant scrap between all of them. And yeah, one thing to note is the top 4 I think have been head and shoulders above the rest on pace. And also 4 of the 5 that haven't got any penalties yet either.
Yeah, I mean, as well as that, James Preds has really clawed that gap down with all this fighting that's been going on.
He's on for top 5 there.
Could be doing something clever here as well, though, James. If he can keep Brindy in his DRS and keep Dylan behind Brindy, then this could give him a chance. Although I don't think that's going to be the case for too long. Dylan's going to have a look as he down the inside. It's a very late move from Dylan on Brindy, and he's not going to be able to get it done just yet. And he's lost the car. He's done it again, James. He did it in the USA, and he's done it here tonight.
He just
has a
to be
spin,
patient.
cost Dylan a race victory. I think it might have done. And he's so frustrated with himself. He's running out the gears, and it's heartbreak again for Dylan. He's going to, I think, throw away another golden opportunity at a victory, as Allen's now gone past McEwen for P7. And it's all kicking off, and I can't believe it, James. I can't believe it. Dylan has thrown away another brilliant chance at a victory here. Yeah,
well, I said I couldn't see Riggs winning it unless there was a bit of a surprise, and that's the surprise. Yeah, Dylan would have. I couldn't have. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. There was no way he wasn't going to win. That really was there, unless he did exactly what he did there. And you know, you've got to say, missed opportunities again for the Mercedes driver, and might do well to hold on to 4th here, sorry, at least on track, because he's now losing time to Darren and the chasing pack behind him. Oh, we've got side by side, yeah.
Have a look as he
we've seen it at the same time.
Had a little go. He thought about it down the inside of 5, but I think when there's just this long straight with the opportunity for the DRS, why go for it earlier? And I think this is going to be a pretty easy move for Bennett, as we've got Hammy unfortunately just retiring in the pits. And yeah, there we go, Bennett up into 8th then pretty easily in the end, as Preds has now caught up to the back of this group, James. So he's definitely got a good opportunity for some points here. Darren is in a world of his own at the moment in P5, having a pretty good debut in Division 1, it has to be said. So he's having a nice race as we've got, the yellow flag, so that's just for Hammy's retired car. As McEwen had a little look down the inside again of Bennett. None of these drivers are giving up on a position, even if they've been overtaken here. There's Bennett again going really wide at 14. He keeps doing that. And Jason is now hounding the back of the Haas. Look at him trying to find an avenue for an overtake in this final sector. It can't really be done. It's not exactly the best position on this track to make some moves the final sector.
There's been a...
Jason's really pushing that battery, and in fact he's coming into the pits.
Yeah, there's been a few bumps and scrapes between these guys, but you've got to say on the whole it's been fantastic clean racing between all of them. And yeah, Jason was retired. Yeah, he had about 21 seconds of penalties, I think, at least 18, so yeah, he wasn't getting anything out of this, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the problem Jason's found, I think, a few times. He's got great pace, but yeah, just too many penalties really costing him any sort of high finishing position. I don't think this is over for the lead yet. If Riggs' tyres really drop off in the last couple of laps, Brindy could potentially find himself on the back of the Renault from the end.
We've got Alan making another move, sorry James. So he's back up into P6 now, just getting past Sem on 3-lap fresher tyres is the AlphaTauri. So strong qualifying, and he's shown some really strong racecraft, is Alan. Unfortunately not quite had the pace to match the top 4, but he's possibly got an opportunity to catch Darren for P5. He's got just over 3 laps to gain about 3 seconds, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for in the closing stages of this race. Of course, we've seen a few moves in real life in the last few laps. I believe, was it Perez on Norris or something a couple of years ago? It was something like that.
Oh yeah, I think it might have been.
Sainz might have done one as well. So yeah, it's not like one of those, I don't think, where you're going to see drivers just give up as we head on to the last few laps in terms of fighting for positions. As Preds has gotten past McEwen, James, and he's now looking at the back of Bennett for what would be P8, although he technically already has that position due to penalties, although not until he's crossed the line. So I'm sure he'll want to get as far up the field as he can on track before he gains anything else via penalties. Is Sam going to be able to challenge back at Alan? But it looks like he's had a terrible exit out of turn 7 and lost a good chunk of time to the AlphaTauri. So then, as the field starts to spread out a little bit, and with just over 2 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go, let's get some votes in the chat for one last time this season for your driver of the day. I'll bring up the position changes. There you go. Of course, all subject to change after penalties, but that's what we're working with at the moment. Can Preds find his way up into 8th, which would be his 8th position gained as well after starting dead last P16? But he's done it again, James, as he's done so many times this season and throughout his SLR career, it has to be said. Has Preds, he's managed to turn a poor qualifying into a brilliant race result, and a driver that was fighting, I believe, for around 12th place, I think, in the championship, could see himself with some more points come the end of the race. Maxwell saying Darren for driver of the day. Baggy saying Jib Jab. Both have had very good races. Jib Jab, bit of sort of dark horse really. Haven't really mentioned him too much in this race, but he's found himself on the podium, up 4 positions off the start, and he's had some very good race pace. Unfortunately, just got caught out in the pits really, losing a whole heap of time for no real reason to Brindy, and that kind of just put him on the back foot after that.
I mean, if this championship started in Hungary, you'd have to say Jib Jab would have been a championship contender.
Right there,
but yeah, I think unfortunately just a bit of a slow start for the Racing Point driver potentially cost him a bit of a championship fight here with the likes of Riggsy and Brindy. I think unfortunately as well for Brindy for once this season it's going to be just a bit out of reach getting that race win. 1 lap to go. If he doesn't get DRS here, I think that's game over. Although as I say that, the gap is slowly creeping down.
Sem gets another penalty. I think there's a lot of drivers here. There's 7 drivers with penalties here and 5 without, but I think those 7 with penalties accumulatively must have a good sort of 100 odd seconds, I think. There seems to be a lot of penalties being handed out this evening, or maybe collectively with the 4 that retired as well. Yeah, maybe I was being a bit overzealous with my estimation.
Maybe about 80 odd.
There we go, gets another one. We've got 4 votes at the moment for Driver of the Day. There's 34 of you on the stream, so let's get a few more in, please, if we can.
2 for Jib-Jab at the moment.
Because, yeah, at the moment it's 2 for Jib-Jab, 1 for Riggs, and 1 for Darren. So then, can Preds, he's the closest driver to another out on track. Is he going to be able to go for this move on Bennett? Doesn't need to, mind you, but I'm sure he'd love to get another position if he can to bow out this season in style with yet another overtake.
If he wants to get Darren or Alan, you might need to get through. If they've got only the 1 penalty. He's going to try. I think he's got massive closing speed on the Alfa Romeo driver, but yeah, just a bit too far back there to make any sort of desperate lunge down the inside.
Can he get the run?
Or no, he's got a bit of a bad 4 exit, I was going to say, but once again, the closing speed, Bennett has absolutely
might have a look at
battery. It's a bit of a late move across from Bennett, but more
no need to risk it, I suppose.
Yeah, just play it safe. We've got another vote for Riggs from Stevo. Check saying Jib-Jab as well.
1 for Preds, 1 for Jib-Jab, another 1 for Preds.
So I think Jib-Jab's still leading the way.
I've missed it
now.
But it is Riggsy as the fireworks go off to cross the line. He wins the final race of the season. It's Brindy in P2. It's a reverse of the championship top 2 with Jib-Jab with another podium to round out the season. He's been in fine form since the middle of the season in 3rd. It's Dylan in 4th after that spin late on saw him go out of contention. 5th was Alan. 6th was Darren. 7th in the end was Preds. Only a second and a half though off of P5. 8th was Bennett. Sem ended up in 9th after crashing across the line, and I didn't quite catch the
Liam
rest.
came 11th and clocked 12th.
Who was 10th then?
McEwen, yeah.
There we go. Preds driver of the day from the game, and it looks like it's a very sort of even split. We've got 1 for Darren, we've got 2 for Preds, 3 for Jib-Jab.
Just looking at back-to-back driver of the day for
Riggs.
Jib-Jab, I think.
Yeah, I think Jib-Jab's just got it at the end, but there was a lot of good drives throughout the field there. And I guess for one last... Oh, we got another one for...
No, Baggy's
oh, no, Baggy's just reiterating his vote for Jib-Jab. We'll get so for one last time this season, James, we'll conduct some podium interviews.
I think we'll be getting some donuts as well.
So then there we have it. It was pole and the win for Riggsy, but it was far from easy for the Renault driver. He did the 1 stop, but that pressure from Dylan on the 2, it was looking like it was Dylan's to win, or Dylan's to lose, was it, as he spun late on, and that cost him any chance of victory. Brittany Boy ended up in P2 with Jib-Jab claiming in another podium in 3rd. Dylan was 4th and had the fastest lap by a mere 2,000ths to Riggsy, so it was nearly a grand slam for the Renault driver, but not quite on this occasion. Alan 2 stops and came home 5th after starting P4, so he had a strong showing with some brilliant racecraft on show in the race as well. Darren ended up P6, so he was another driver who went down the 1 position after 2 stopping, and then it was Preds in 7th. Started 16th, 1 stops, no penalties, and he reaped the rewards yet again. It was Bennett in 8th, only the 1 penalty for him, from 14th on the grid, and then it was Sem, 13th on the grid. He ended up in 9th after 1 stopping as well. McEwen rounded out the top 10 in with a 2-stop from 6th on the grid. It was then Liam in 11th, another 11th place for Liam. Clock was 12th. Your retirements were Jason, Hammy, Elite, and Lewis, I do believe. Over to you, James.
Yeah, just waiting for the Jib Jab in the party. Yeah, hopefully we can get him in soon and get these interviews underway. But I mean, if you got like a prize for most 11th place finishes, surely Liam's got to be up there. I mean, well, I think that can be one of our end of season awards, can't it? Unluckiest driver, and that can be like the most P11s. And Liam's got to be in with a shout of that, 'cause it's just so many times that he finds himself right outside of the points. But yeah, what a fantastic race to end out the season. Action from start to finish. Never a boring race in SLR, no matter what the championship's doing. But yeah, fantastic in the midfield as well. Alan a brick wall in defence, but not letting anyone through. He's like the Virgil van Dijk of F1. Brilliant defending.
Well, Turkey could have done with him earlier by the looks of things.
Yeah, they could have done. But yeah, fantastic race to end out the season. Fortunately, it doesn't. Jib Jab's going to be joining us, so we'll get the interviews underway. We'll start off with P2 man and of course Div 1.
Tick your boxes, remember?
Oh yeah, of course, yep. P2 man and Div 1 champion in what could be his final SLR race, at least as a full-time driver anyway. Brindy boy, but yeah, just got to say congratulations on the P2. Unfortunately for yourself, on this rare occasion, finding yourself just short of the win, but either way, another podium to round out your championship winning season. You've got to be pretty pleased with that result.
Yeah, I'm happy with P2, especially after starting P3, so up one position. I planned to do the one stop right from the start, so I was on that, and I had that in my head the whole race. Me and Jib Jab did the exact same strategy to the lap, which was quite funny. But yeah, we had quite similar pace, and then we had to work through the traffic, and then obviously Riggs pitted from the lead, and then he came up behind. So I was leading for a few laps, but then obviously him coming out of softs, just managed to get ahead. Which I was expecting, but then in the last couple of laps I thought maybe I could get him back when the tyres were sort of equal, or maybe his were a little bit worse than mine, but he had the pace, stayed ahead, and yeah, he did it. He had a great drive today. Had a bit of a moment with Dylan when he decided to send it on me into the triple chicane, but yeah, I saw him spinning. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a relief because I knew he had so much more pace than me, and that without that spin he would have got past. It would have been P3. So to come away with P2, I'm really happy.
Yeah, I think summed up your race pretty well there. Obviously, we weren't expecting a one stop to be honest. I think we were a bit naive in thinking it would just be a simple 2-stop for most of the drivers, especially starting on the softs. But it worked out nicely for you in the end, and yeah, as you said, just not quite enough at the end to challenge Riggs. But either way, yeah, another podium in what's been a fantastic season from yourself. So yeah, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Riggsy then, your race winner for today. And I mean, I don't want to say you got lucky, but I think I've got to say you got lucky there, to be honest. Those mediums just seem to completely fall off the face of the earth at the end of that first stint, to be honest. I'm not really too sure what happened. We saw the gap was about 8 seconds, I think, and Dylan was behind you. And I said to Harry in the comments box, I said, he might lose a second a lap, but I doubt it'll be that much. I think he's got this one in the bag. And then all of a second, the gap was about 4 seconds the next lap. So, yeah, if you just want to, I guess, first of all, just talk us through what happened there, and then, yeah, just obviously through your race as a whole, because, yeah, you got robbed of a win last week, so to finish the season with a race win is, yeah, a just result for, yeah, last week's troubles.
Aye, no, definitely. Aye, but no. Honestly, the tiles just went. Like, I actually have no idea what really happened to the tire. I'm just going to pause it because I've just started to do the donuts. My car will just do a lap. So, I can't do two things at once. So I've just paused again. But the front right was on like 75%. Well, I can't remember. I came in like 16. I came in like 15, 16. It was a bit early. Didn't want to come in as early as that. But we had to just minimise the damage really because the tyres were gone. Into the two heavy braking zones at the end of the straights were so hard to hit the apexes on, so we had to just bite the bullet, come in, and hope that there wasn't too much traffic in the way. Race as a whole, qualified was actually quite good. We didn't actually. I've been sitting relaying it back to yourselves all bloody night. Like, what is the strategy? What is the best unit? And then it was one that I never even thought I'd be doing. And then it just seemed to work. We settled in. There was time in the qualifying. We made a couple of mistakes on the chicane that splits the two straights and the triple chicane. There was definitely some more time in the lap, but that's where the tyre wear came for the first stint. Was just the fact that we done like 2 flying laps and 2 in laps with the tyres, so they've kind of seen a fair bit. Race itself, I don't know. I kind of want to say I would have had the pace to kind of keep Dylan back, but when I seen him like so close, it was really hard to tell. And I'm kind of on the same boat with Brindy. Biggest sigh of relief when I seen the yellow flags coming out behind, but hopefully it wasn't going to bring any kind of safety car. But no, honestly, I really don't know. Like, I was kind of just managing the battery for most of the race anyway. Like, because it was just like settle in behind Dylan, just don't lose too much time. Stay in the DRS. Kind of just manage it there. Brindy was in a bit of cleaner his cell, but I don't know if that's just his tyres kind of starting to gaff, or whatever. That'll be his own data. But no, I was honestly getting a bit alarmed because I wasn't putting the gap up. I wasn't putting the gap for him at the end, and I was like, this strategy's not going to help me out. It's just like the tyres just they were fired up, but they weren't. They didn't have to like 3 laps. So that was it. Like, and they were a brand new set. We kept them. We kept a brand new set, and it just wasn't hooking up. I don't know what it was, but thankfully there was enough battery. In the tank to kind of keep Brindy behind. Because I did see the gap coming down like 27, 28. Like, it was just outside seconds, so we didn't just mailing enough. But quite happy to take the win. Didn't expect it, but we'll take them definitely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a fantastic pole lap as well. 32.7. I said to Harry at the time, it'd be interesting to see how that fares for you in Elite on Sunday if you do get the chance to race. Yeah, you've got to do it all over again. But at least you know the strategy now this time, and at least everyone else knows the strategy.
Well, I've showed my hand.
I would say won't be making the same mistake. But I mean, you won the race in a one stop, but I think it would have been really interesting to see if someone had done the same. If someone had been like Brindy, for example, or who obviously could have got through on the mediums. Would have been interesting if he'd gone for a 2-stop to see how that would have played out. But yeah, either way, as you say, rounding out the season with a win is a fantastic job.
Oh, definitely. Like the 2-stop was never really part of the plan either. Like, it was always just go long and just burn your fuel, burn your battery when you need to, and just kind of burn the tyres out, and then go for a set of softs at the end. But that was always part of the plan. But I'm not really like I was about strategies and fuel and such. I always come trying to use about what to do and everything else. So I couldn't tell you when it comes to when it's me leading strategy, it's like the blind leading the blind. It would be quite interesting to see because Dylan done the 2-stop and was basically right on my rear end, so it kind of shows the strategy is kind of either or. Really, I think that's what the kind of main conclusion is out of that race. But I mean, you can have to take in like just about every other kind of factor that kind of plays into that. But it definitely gives folk an idea on what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to finish the interviews up then, Harry. I just want to say quickly, on behalf of myself anyway, it's been a pleasure to commentate alongside you this season, Harry, and yeah, I just want to thank all of the Division 1 drivers for giving us some fantastic entertainment throughout the season, and I want to thank yourself for joining me throughout, Harry. I'm sure you'll have something to add on to that as well. Or maybe not, by the sounds of things.
That's because I've just muted my mic.
Oh.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I'd like to sort of reiterate that. I mean, it's been a brilliant season, hasn't it? From start to finish, action-packed. We've had some fantastic racing on show, and I think everyone has done the league and done the division proud with that. As well, I'd like to thank you for joining me and anyone else that's joined us throughout the season, for making the races at times slightly less boring, but also at other times it's really sort of just accentuated the action and the excitement as well, to have whoever's been in the booth commentating with me and so on. And yeah, I mean, just to all the drivers, it's been an excellent season. I mean, congratulations to Brindy on the championship, Mercedes on the constructors, and I believe Renault have won the joint as well. So you know, Riggsy's got something in there to shout about as well. So and to be honest, I couldn't have thought of much of a better way to round out the season, because it was a really good race tonight. It had everything, didn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. Be sure to join us throughout the rest of the weekend. We've still got one championship on the line. That is, of course, the drivers' title in Division 3, I do believe. So that is all for this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us, not only this evening, but throughout the season. And good night.